All right, welcome to the men's soccer portion of the Day of Giving Telethon. I am David Blahnik. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm just finishing up my second full year as the men's soccer coach here at Hope College, and was an assistant in the past. But super excited to be here, and more excited to bring on an alum that I've gotten to know in my somewhat short time here, but somebody that has really been helpful for me, both professionally, but also just as an alum, and somebody that I know cares so much about not only Hope Soccer, but Hope College in general. So I'd love to bring on Steve Binnig. Steve, welcome.
Yeah, Coach Blahnik, thanks for having me. You're too kind, but my list of passions is relatively small. Hope College soccer and Hope College in general are up there for me. So thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, and I don't know if it's a compliment or not, but it's one of those fun things that Steve has been coming back to help during summer camp. As many of you know, our highly successful and great residential camps that we do, and Steve takes time off from work. He uses some of his vacation days to come help and spend time with us. So it's been good to get to know you and appreciate you for that, and I hope that you continue to do so. Use your vacation days for that, but. Let's get right into it. I know you've been out of school now for 4 to 5 years, I believe, and kind of out enough to you're in the real world now, and you're kind of on a good path of what you want to do with your life, both personally and professionally. So why don't you just let us know kind of where you are right now in your life, both personally and professionally?
Yeah. So my wife and I were southeast side of Grand Rapids. My last soccer season at Hope was fall of 2018, and I graduated the winter of 2018. Spent a couple years in my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, post-grad, and then made it back to West Michigan, which if my wife has it her way, we'll probably be here for the long haul. But now I'm in business development in a sales role for a locally owned insurance firm, just about 15 miles from campus. Love living in West Michigan as an adult, and have really found my footing, which has been fun. And I think we'll get into it, but a lot of that can be attributed back to obviously the education at Hope College. But then, I ascribe a lot of, my success in my professional career to what I learned on the soccer field as a member of the men's team.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. And I know it's been cool, and maybe we'll touch on it a little bit later, but one of the things that's been fun for us and the current Hope Soccer student athletes is you helping with our LinkedIn Hope Soccer page, where we've added alumni, and you as kind of a local businessman and connector, if you will, have really been able to help some of our current Hope Soccer student athletes to connect with past Hope alums, Hope men's soccer alums and Hope alums, not just the more recent ones, but maybe a way that can connect them to find an internship or something that they need, which has been great. So I appreciate that. Something that's interesting that I know obviously is, but yeah, you're not from here. You're not from West Michigan. You're not really a local Midwest guy, at least.
Right.
You graduated high school from, and I've noticed in recruiting, everybody knows about and seems to love Hope College here in the Midwest. But if you're outside the Midwest, you may not know about it. So if you could just briefly describe, like, how did you end up here at Hope, being somebody from PA, and what got you here in the first place?
Yeah, I was actually just sharing this story with one of my coworkers this morning. My mom and I did the classic Midwest Christian college tour. I kind of narrowed down my options to mostly Christian schools, so was looking at a few of the bigger ones out east, and then obviously some of the more comparable schools in the Midwest. I like to joke that I got tricked into moving to West Michigan because we came in the middle of July. We met with the current coach at that time, had a great tour on campus. You see the facilities at Hope. They're, in my opinion, better than a number of the, mid-major to small Division I programs out there. So that was obviously a selling point. But really what it was for me and my family, we used to vacation in North Carolina, and we'd never been to Lake Michigan. And I'll never forget, 8:30 on a July summer night, perfect sunset, being out on the beach at Lake Michigan. And I was like, I feel like I'm, in North Carolina right now. So if somebody would have told me what October through, March would look like, which is obviously the majority of the time that you're on campus when you're a student, my opinions might have been a little bit different, but I've been crazy enough to move back too. So don't know how far that gets me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, yeah, obviously, like you said, you married somebody who if it's up to her, it seems like you'll be here for
Yeah.
the long haul.
Yep.
And I would say that was kind of my situation as well. I married a Michigan girl and quickly understood coming in the summertime what all the hype was about, which is great.
Absolutely.
So,
I think
hey,
I think if I was to expand on, what got me to Hope and what really sold me on the vision, obviously, soccer was a massive part of that. For me, what was really unique, and just getting to know at that time the current players, the coaching staff at that point, they seemed extremely interested in me as not only Steve, the soccer player, but also Steve, the individual, and then like, hey, what do you want to do with your life? What does it look like, once soccer is no longer part of the picture? How do you view your future, both personally, professionally? How can we get you there? And does this place really line up on all those fronts? And that was that intentionality that I experienced from the onset was unlike, a number of the other schools that we looked at. And it really has nothing to do with me. It's just what colleges do when, a student athlete shows up on campus. Everyone has kind of their routine as far as, hey, you're going to meet an advisor, you're going to meet an admissions rep, you're going to see, some certain parts of campus. The Hope experience from the first time that we visited was different as compared to everyone else. And it's a hard thing to kind of explain and materialize, but it was enough to completely change the path for me and get me to West Michigan.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know it's, as you just mentioned, some of it's hard to put into words. And I'll also say that I can put a lot of time or a lot of things into words and take a lot of time talking about it. You and I are both talkers. We're both salesmen, so we could both do that. But sometimes I just sum it up. I was like, hey, just get here on campus. There's just something in the air. There's a different energy that is hard to put in words that you really do, you feel when you're here and you're around the people. Kind of piggybacking off of that of the experience here. Like, do you have any, maybe one or two like memorable experiences, maybe on the soccer field, like, or as being, a NCAA student athlete, or non-soccer wise here at Hope, that just kind of really stand out to you?
Yeah, there's one that will live a little bit in infamy for me. My junior year, Calvin game at home. Calvin was ranked number 1 in the country. Less than 3 minutes into the game, I scored an own goal. So I played center back for Hope for 4 years. And later, as the story goes, one of my good buddies, James Raymond, scored a free kick from probably 35 yards out. And there's still a banner of me that pops up on campus with, it actually looks, I don't look excited. I look like I'm ready to go chase somebody down and like tackle them or something. But it was just pure like intensity and excitement that, here we're playing the number 1 team in the country at home. I've completely put my team kind of under the bus a few minutes in, and then my teammate, later in the game bails me out. I'll never forget that. And it's cool that it's kind of been cemented in the view, or at least in the form of marketing material around campus. I would say off the soccer field, there's a few things that jump out to me. I mean, educationally, the opportunity to do May terms. I went on, Tim Skudenveld's trip to Alaska. That's a memory that I'll hold forever. Met some of my closest friends on that trip, people that, stood in my wedding are still my closest friends today. And then another one that's kind of related to being a student athlete. Tim also afforded me the opportunity to go to the NCCA or NCAA national conference in Indianapolis, which was, I believe, my junior year as well. And just really cool when you go out there, you meet other, not only student athletes, but specifically Division III athletes from different parts of the country. And I know you mentioned, Coach, that it's Hope College is not necessarily a name outside of the Midwest that you hear, but in my role currently, I'm all over the country visiting with clients, visiting with partners, and it is really interesting. It feels like over the past 5 to 10 years, specifically athletically, I mean, can credit the women's volleyball team and the women's basketball team, especially with national championships in the last 10 years, but just we are known across the country. And when you drop the Hope College name to other folks that were student athletes, it's recognizable. They know it. And it's like, wow, like that person was a Hope athlete. That means something to me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, exciting to hear that. And it's funny going off you talking about that, the picture of you that we still see, and I'll still see it flash on the TV. And every time I try to get a screenshot or I try to take a picture with my phone and send it to you, but it's too fast. And I loved it when somebody explained to me, well, you need to ask Steve more about that picture. And that's when you explained it to me. That was the look of, like you said, my teammate bailed me out and we're going to go do it, which is awesome. So I've always enjoyed hearing that story. Obviously you brought up, without me prompting, Scooney, kind of him helping you out in a way, or seeing something in you that was maybe different. Again, the type of people that are here at Hope beyond soccer coach, like beyond Coach Smith, Coach Brand, or myself, like I'm assuming Scooney's up there. Is there anybody else, maybe a professor, somebody that you really had a connection with, or that it's just another person where you're like, you know what, this is something that just somebody here at Hope that makes it a bit different than just going to another school?
Yeah, I think the greatest value, and it's something that's shared when you're a Hope student and you don't really understand what it means until you get to see it post-grad, but the relationships and the connections that you make at Hope College are absolutely invaluable. And I've already, as someone that's only 5-6 years out of school, seen them pay off tenfold, which is pretty remarkable. Some names that come to mind, Dr. Lauren Hewitt, who is still in the business department. She was in the communications department at the time that I was a student. She was massive for me as a student. We did an independent study my senior year, which was quite literally us reading some pretty, relevant like novels, as well as reading some pretty dense, leadership-oriented text. And that time with her, just unpacking kind of where I was going from, student athlete into the professional world. I was pondering thoughts of marriage and things like that, to my now wife. So just to have someone that I can unpack that with, she definitely comes to the top of the list. Folks in the campus ministries department, I just ran into Paul Boersma downtown on 8th Street a few weeks ago, and haven't seen Boers in 3 years. He still remembers my name. He still remembers that I was from Pittsburgh. He still remembers my wife's name because he affiliates it with Christmas. Her name's Holly. Like, you don't really understand it, like I said earlier, when you're there. But once you get out with the dogs, if you will, in the real world, especially in the business world, that level, and I mentioned it earlier, the level of intentionality that everyone at Hope embodies, it's just rare. It's unique. I'm convinced that it's one of the few places in the country, let alone the world, that you can probably, find that level of care.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's funny, you used right before you said it, the word intentional was coming to my head, and it's a word I use a lot, and I challenge myself when I'm busy. Hey, just try to be intentional. Try to be intentional, and that it stands out, like you said, something as little as remembering your wife's name or along those lines, which is awesome. So, all right, thanks for sharing that. It's something cool. You're talking about campus ministries, a professor, Scooney, and it is something there are a lot of schools out there that check some of the boxes, but I'm just amazed at how I would consider Hope to be elite in all of the important areas. And for me, what I tell our guys is faith, family, academic, soccer, and the faith are the greater purpose side, obviously. The family, the social, the people you're around, whether it's your best friends, your teammates, the people in the cafeteria, obviously the academics, and then for us specifically the soccer. And I think it's fitting in the locker room. I wanted to do this in the locker room. Just, as you know, we have some of the best facilities in the country, and you maybe don't come to Hope College just because of our locker room, but it's all these little things that add up that come from the support and generosity of alums, family, and friends. And I think it's something every time I come in here, I try to remind myself of that. So thanks for mentioning that. If I was to wrap it up right now, what, maybe like a 2-part question, but what, if you had any current advice for current Hope student athletes, briefly, and then kind of going off of that, what excites you about kind of the future of Hope, the current student athletes and the future student athletes? What excites you about the opportunities that they have going forward by going to Hope College and participating in Hope Athletics?
Yeah, I think like any athletic, the lessons that you learn on the field, they translate into so many other areas of your life. Obviously, friendships, socially, professionally, especially for someone like me who's in a high intensity, still trying to win every single day in my current role. I tie a lot of those back to lessons that I learned on the field, and closer relationships, like with your family, with your, with your spouse. You're learning so much as a student athlete at Hope College that will reward you again tenfold down the road. But I actually had the opportunity to sit down with a current athlete at Hope just last week for lunch, and really, really talented individual, has the whole future in front of themselves, and just asking a lot of big questions about what's next for me. And my biggest piece of advice for that person, and it would be for anyone at Hope College, is like, be where your feet are, enjoy the moment that you have, because again, you don't recognize just how privilege is not a word that I throw around lightly, but just how privileged you are to be a Hope student athlete, and to have coaches, professors, teammates, community members, alumni, donors, whoever it is, that truly give a crap about you. It's sorry to be flippant with it, but that's a really, really special environment. So that would be definitely piece number one. And then just what excites me about Hope College and where it's headed. I think obviously what President Scogan has going on is pretty remarkable. I mean, just as a slight tangent, but Malcolm Gladwell is a podcaster that many of us listened to when we were students at Hope. And so, as a younger alumni, to see him coming back to campus and being involved with the Hope Forward campaign, that's obviously just, it's putting the college on the map in a completely different, from a completely different perspective than before. And then more than that, every time I'm back in Holland, living in Grand Rapids, I'm clearly not far, but the innovation, the development of campus, it's clear that, we have tons of generous donors, and the college is very good about using those resources to create not only meaningful, but also relevant, in a timely manner, opportunities for students. So it's a vague answer to a bit of a vague question, Coach, but I think that all of the opportunities that I've already gotten to experience and take advantage of, I know that the opportunities and the experiences that, those that are 5, 10, 15 years behind me within a program like Hope Men's Soccer are going to be that much better. And I can't wait to see how this play out.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And I'm glad you mentioned kind of thinking about beyond college. And I think that's something that is important for us to remind the students here is, I think in college, it's so easy. You're thinking about next semester, next year, and obviously what you're doing post-grad. And at a place like Hope, we need to just really say like, hey, just enjoy today, enjoy your friends, enjoy your class, enjoy practice, enjoy the dorms, all of that, which is a great reminder. So awesome. Well, I really appreciate it, Steve, and you both as an alum, but also just a friend, and I know that you're somebody I can always rely on to call and get advice or a different perspective in regards to whether it's Hope or just anything in life. So I personally really appreciate you, and thank you for taking the time, and look forward to seeing you soon at some Hope events. I know I will.
Awesome. All right, Coach. Well, hey, thanks for having me on. Happy to do it. Glad to be a part of it.
Thanks. Have a good day.